Hello, it's Wendy Passmore here, and I'd like to welcome you to this week's guided meditation. So, this will take about a half an hour, and we're all invited to enter into this time of quiet reflection on the experiences of our past week, and we'll have a reading that we'll do some meditation on as well. So, just to begin, I hope you'll have a journal and maybe candlelit just to create a sacred space in your home. So, let's start by just taking some deep breaths, breathing in deeply 6 or 7 times. And this helps ground ourselves in this inner place where we want to tend to our inner life. So, breathing in deeply. And as we're in this quiet place, one of the reflections that came through Richard Rohr's meditation this week, which I thought was very interesting, was this. We are all looking for a larger and more loving story in which to participate. This is what God gives us. Our ordinary lives are given an extraordinary significance when we accept that our lives are about something more meaningful than winning and succeeding inside of a very small plot line. So I wonder if we could just sort of kick off this quiet time that we're having together and just reflect on my story and how is my story informed by a bigger story. And maybe it's the story of the culture that we live in that informs our story, that to be successful I have to have all these things or those values. Where do my values come from? What is the story? I know for me, I find the Christian story, the Jesus story is, I find Jesus very inspiring, and in parts, I try to aspire in that direction. And certainly Francis of Assisi is probably one of um, my people that has inspired my story, his story. So let's just take a moment and just think for a bit about our story and what informs our story. Maybe we can do a bit of writing about that. And as we're in this quiet place, let's invite the Spirit to gently lead us through the experiences of our past week. And let's land in an experience that was especially life giving, where we perhaps experienced the grace of God's presence in some way. Maybe a relationship, a conversation, a sunset, whatever it was in this past week that brought life into my spirit. And let's revisit that, feeling those feelings again. And what might God's message be to me in and through this life giving, grace filled moment? And now let us quietly invite the Spirit to take us through the experiences again of the past week. And let's stay with a moment or an experience that was challenging or difficult. And what was that all about? So let's just spend a moment to go back through and just land in that experience of the week that was difficult, experiencing those feelings again. What might God's message be to me in the midst of this difficulty or challenge? Is there an invitation for transformation for me in some way? And is there anything else that's coming up that we might need to pay attention to from the past week that we need to tend to? And so now we'll move into meditating with this psalm from Psalm 69. It's a modern rendition, very inclusive language, that sense of intimacy with the divine. So, see what I'm going to read it through 3 times. So, see what word or phrase seems to speak to you the first time. What must I do to be at peace once again? My pretenses and the wrongs I have done are not hidden from you. In running from you, I have borne the consequences, so that doubt and loneliness now companion me. I have become a stranger in my own home, an alien to my inner being. You know my feelings of guilt and my regrets. Help me to humble myself so that you might create within me a clean heart. Help me to live simply, sharing what I have with those in need. Help me to speak out of the silence. Help me to see with the heart's eye. Help me to hear with the heart's ear. Help me to be sensitive to your ways. May my inner world become a house of prayer that others may come to bask in your presence. The word or the phrase that speaks to you, just stay with it for a moment. And after I read it through a second time, let's explore why that word or phrase seemed to speak to me right now. What must I do to be at peace once again? My pretenses and the wrongs I have done are not hidden from you. In running from you, I have borne the consequences, so that doubt and loneliness now companion me. I have become a stranger in my own home, an alien to my inner being. You know my feelings of guilt and my regrets. Help me to humble myself so that you might create within me a clean heart. Help me to live simply, sharing what I have with those in need. Help me to speak out of the silence. Help me to see with the heart's eye. Help me to hear with the heart's ear. Help me to be sensitive to your ways. May my inner world become a house of prayer that others may come to bask in your presence. Exploring why that word spoke to me tonight. And after I read it through a third time, we're invited to um, offer a prayer in response to the message that we've received. What must I do to be at peace once again? My pretenses and the wrongs I have done are not hidden from you. In running from you, I have borne the consequences, so that doubt and loneliness now companion me. I have become a stranger in my own home, an alien to my inner being. You know my feelings of guilt and my regrets. Help me to humble myself so that you might create within me a clean heart. Help me to live simply, sharing what I have with those in need. Help me to speak out of the silence. Help me to see with the heart's eye. Help me to hear with the heart's ear. Help me to be sensitive to your ways. May my inner world become a house of prayer, that others may come to bask in your presence. A prayer in response to the message received. So perhaps we can move now into some prayerful reflection on those who were carrying in our heart um, the needs of the people around us that we're sensing that we'd like to just spend a moment or two in prayer for them. So let's just bring them into our mind's eye and just pray God's blessing. And perhaps there's people in our circle that are really alone and lonely, and maybe the Spirit's going to tap us on the shoulder and say, maybe you should give that person a call, or may we all just be open to reach out to the people around us and to pray. And maybe we're that person that needs somebody to reach out to me. So may that happen too. So let's just bring all of that into this loving, warm circle of prayer, that God's blessing will rest upon the people that we care for. And in this experience of prayer for those that we're concerned about, let's to bring ourselves into that warm circle of loving prayer. And what is it? Well, maybe we could just, somehow see ourselves in our mind's eye and just pray God's blessing upon us. And perhaps there is something I seek, maybe a grace of some sort that I could pray for. Now let's move into, as we again reflect on our past week, what is there? What happened, or what were my experiences, or generally what is it that I'm grateful for? So let's try to pull out 3 things that I can be grateful for and offer thanks for. So I thought I would just close this time by reading a very familiar prayer from Francis of Assisi, the Peace Prayer. It's not him that wrote it, but it's the Franciscan community that it's come out of, and it's very much in the spirit of Francis. And this can be our prayer. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. So we ask you, Divine One, to come to each one of us in a way that we'll know and experience that it's your love and your presence. You know where our hurts are, where we need healing, where we need peace, where there's anxiety. So we pray for your Spirit to come upon us and to guide us. And we ask that we would have the grace to know that we are loved, that we are a wondrous creation of you, that there's no one else in the world like you, that each one of us is a divine spark called to live in this time and in this place. So may we truly know in our hearts that we are the beloved, that we matter, and that we are known. We are loved, we matter, and we are known. And perhaps you can just say this quietly in your heart now. I am loved. I am known. And I matter. Bless you all. Sorry I can't see you, but till next time. Bye.